Hey, everybody. So, one of the biggest requirements for entrepreneurship is putting yourself out there, and there will absolutely, without a doubt, be a guarantee of rejection at some point in your life in entrepreneurship. So, today's micro habit is all about changing your relationship with rejection through exposure therapy by experiencing micro rejections in a gamified way, which we love here. So, if you want to break through your fear of rejection, stick around because we're going to go super deep today. So, I want to welcome you all to the Entrepreneur Expansion Show. This is the first ever gamified show that helps entrepreneurs master their subconscious mind, body, and business by implementing micro habits into their lives in a fun, supportive, action oriented way to create more transformational impact and income. Because let's be real, y'all, how often do you listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video and do nothing with it? We hope to change that today and give you a bigger return on investment of your time here and give you the exact mindset, business steps, action steps to get better results from your learning time today. So, our guest today is the amazing Anastasia Lapik. She is a business mentor for course creators, and also what I love here is a consciousness architect. So, anyone who's familiar with the show or familiar with me, you already know we're going to go down some really fun rabbit holes today. So, let's freaking go. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So, I want to preface this for everybody. Anastasia and I, we've never talked before. So, this is our first time talking with each other. She also has no clue what she had no clue what the show was about. She signed up instantly. Yesterday, we just were like, let's go. And I love everything about this interview and the vibration behind it because she's literally embodying what she's going to teach today, which like the fear of the unknown, right? AKA fear of rejection, right? is very palpable, right? Like we don't know what's going to happen. And she was like, "Should you tell me about the process?" I was like, "Let's see what's going to happen because this is really fun." And so we met online. We just had friends. We ran in similar circles, and we were friends online. And she threw it out that she was doing this 30-day challenge. And I just thought the 30-day challenge sounded super unique. So I got inquisitive. So can you tell the viewers and listeners what this 30-day challenge is about so that we can keep the story going?
Yes, 100%. And I love what you said about alignment. My brand is called Align Vibration, which is all about alignment. And for me, it's
All
like
happening.
being the leader of that brand is being the embodiment of what I teach. So I actually started this challenge myself, even though I'm running it for other entrepreneurs, because I realized like the value of this challenge is like so mind-blowing that after just 2 weeks in, I feel like I hacked the matrix.
Yeah.
It was such a huge realization for me that wow, like even though I've built a successful business, I was still having an edge with rejection. That wasn't allowing me to go to that next point, that next
Yeah.
iteration of my brand of success. So what I decided to do is I decided to tackle my fear of rejection by put myself in situations every single day through bold, daring asks, like audacious things that most likely would lead to somebody saying a no. Hearing that no, dealing with like the awkwardness and the embarrassment of waiting to hear that no, of waiting to ask, walking up to a shopkeeper, in the shop, my heart's pounding, I'm like sweating, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna ask for something for free, and then doing it, having their eyes glare at me like, why are you asking this? And my answer was, why not? And having no need for reasons, just to ask, and then receiving so many yeses. And I was like, whoa, not only did it help me rewire my fear of hearing a no, because I put myself in these like micro rejection situations every single day, slowly making them more and more edgier and bolder over time, but the opportunities that arose through that. I was like, well, why don't we all just ask for what we want? And it was like
Yeah.
aha moment for me. Like how many of us as entrepreneurs are so afraid to put ourselves out there to ask for what we want that I was like, I need to do this challenge for other people. Like it has to happen. This is the bottleneck for every single entrepreneur, whether you're just starting out, you're growing your business, or you're scaling. There's gonna be that next edge, and that next edge is gonna be only available to you when you let go of that next level fear of rejection to go
I,
and
I
ask for
love it.
what you want.
I love this. And it's funny because I know some viewers are listening right now and you're already uncomfortable just listening to this and feeling like just the idea of this is even just hearing it might be freaking you out. And it's so cool because when Anastasia pitched this idea to me and she was like, "Oh, do you want to support this thing?" I was like, as a rapid transformation therapy practitioner, like I was like, I work with people at the subconscious at the deepest level, and I know that like some people it can cause more dysregulation and trauma response, just like the idea of making these big audacious asks. And she was so accommodating and awesome and was like, no, like if people come in and do this challenge with you, they can start where it's really whatever they want to do, right? It's just doing something every day that allows you to get into an experience to grow through is really what this is about. It's about um, having a chance to grow and push or pull yourself to do things that may feel uncomfortable, which I'm all for. I think that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
so um, I think it'd be really fun to know, first off, what was the most uncomfortable ask you've ever done for you personally?
Yeah, oh gosh. You know, I've been afraid of rejection my entire life. So I just want to preface that. Like I was never that bold, confident girl. Like I was so afraid when I was a kid that when the teacher asked me to go and knock on next door classroom to ask for a spare pen, I stood outside the door for 20 minutes because I was so
Mm,
afraid to walk into that classroom, all eyes on me, and get rejected by the people because they're like, what's this weird girl doing walking into this classroom? Like all the thoughts in my head about what people are gonna think of about me asking this teacher for a pen. And
yeah.
you know, it might sound like really intense, but that was my reality. So it's not like I'm doing this challenge as this really bold, confident person. I've made myself this way through identity shifts over time. And I didn't start with the biggest, most audacious ask, but that's where I ended up. So my biggest audacious ask is I decided to ask my favorite author and the book writer who I've been, reading, listening to her podcast. I've done her courses. She's in her, I feel like late 70s, 80s. Like she's an expert in her field, like super well known. I decided to ask her for an interview. And I had her on Facebook for many years as a friend. Somehow we ended up, and I reached out to her before saying, thank you, you've inspired me. And I decided to reach out to her. And I basically pitched doing an interview with her because I love her stuff. It changed my life. And she said yes. And now I've got this interview booked with my favorite author. And my mind is blown, because it was really challenging for me to go up because I was like, oh, she's just going to think about me. This is really awkward. And then she said yes. So I feel like for me, that was really like my biggest edge, realizing that, oh, I could create opportunities like this.
So cool. So awesome. And so how many of you listeners and people watching just like have ever felt like there's no way, like right now you might even be thinking there's no way I could do that, right? But you just said it there perfectly. Like you weren't that person, but yet in that moment you became the person to
Yeah.
do the thing and then you were able to have this result. So you stepped in and a lot of this is about confidence, making a decision and leaning into something even when it feels uncomfortable, right? Like and this happens in relationships, right? This happens in business. This happens in health. Like how many times do people want to get healthy and they have to walk into the gym and it's super uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? Like there's
On
so
the
many,
edges.
yeah, totally. And so this is not about um, like you don't have to go and do what Anastasia said there. Like you don't have to ask your idol to do an interview with you. That might be too much for you at this time. If you want to do that, I'm sure that will go really well with this challenge that she's running. And we can start with micro small asks like I talk about all the time on this show. It's about doing the little things. The little things are what matter the most, right? That actually helps our subconscious to feel safe to take that next big bold step. And sometimes we just do a cannonball into the deep end like you did there, which is really freaking cool.
In a playful way, right? I think the biggest thing is because I made it into a game.
Yeah,
I didn't go into this with an idea, let me see how many opportunities I can get. Let me see how many yeses I can get. I went into this with I'm playing to get a no on purpose to rewire my relationship to a no.
yeah,
So that actually disarms you completely. And the expectation, I think the biggest fear a lot of the time we have is that we expect the yes, or maybe they say yes. I want them to say yes. Like you get
totally.
attached to the outcome so much that you desire it so much that it becomes like your ego becomes entangled with the outcome. And then the rejection feels like your worth or your values just being questioned. I think when you go in with this playful attitude of like, I'm going in for a no for fun. And when you hear a yes, it's like, whoa, that's amazing. But you're not expecting this. I think that's been the biggest thing for me. And I think also, what you said, just to piggyback on that, is like I didn't start with those bold asks. I actually started this rejection challenge without realizing much earlier in my business. And it was as simple as, asking for that sale with no expectation, like launching my program, thinking this is just a test run. I'm not expecting anyone to sign up and having the best launch of my entire career still,
Totally.
because I'm completely unattached to the outcome. So I've actually programmed myself over the years with really small micro rejections and being willing not to be attached to the outcome to become bolder and more daring. And you can start exactly where you're at because we all have our different edges. And it's not about putting yourself out of your comfort zone so much so you're traumatized or triggered, but rather like just enough, like what Matt said, is like so that you are able to grow. Because as long as we stay in the comfort zone, we don't grow. So it's
Totally.
important to move just enough that growth happens, but without damaging ourselves. Just like when we go to the gym, right? We want to like,
Absolutely. Micro tears.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep. 100%. And one of the things that Anastasia said there multiple times that I really want to like make sure everybody caught, which is, I mean, it's basically the key to manifestation and creating your desired reality, which is being good with it or being good without it. So it's letting go of the expectation of what you think it's going to be. Every time I've done that in my life, it it just goes so much better because there's not all of like this hoping, wishing, wanting vibration behind it. There's the like I am writing my book on this concept of the calm knowing. It's this idea that if we just let it go and we let it be whatever it's going to be, good with it, good without it, that's how we actually create our desired reality. So it's a beautiful thing. So on this show, we always talk about okay, so this is the micro habit, micro rejections, and then we help people understand okay, well, what are we actually going to be doing every day? Like what's the actual action steps here? So they sign up for this challenge and they go through this thing. And each day they have to are they pre coming up with these ideas of what they're going to go do? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, what I found without having a plan is it's really challenging to work out what you're going to do on a day. So,
Totally.
absolutely, at the beginning, we have a game plan session, and that's really to help people first rewire the story around rejection so they can begin to discharge all the concepts and meanings that they give to rejection. And then we're going to have a plan. So, every single day, you'll know, at least maybe not every single day, because sometimes you'll be in the house, sometimes you'll go out, you don't know what's going to happen when. But during the week, you have a bucket of asks, and we have 4 different levels. So every week you can
Cool.
choose to up level if you choose to, if you feel comfortable, starting with level one, which are like not so intense, not so bold, but still daring enough to get you out of the comfort zone. And level four being like, you can imagine, like knocking on your neighbor's door and asking to borrow the car kind of ask. Okay,
Yeah.
really out there. Not everyone's gonna be up for it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the foundation of it. And then when we actually begin the challenge, that's when you start to take action. That's when you do the challenge with an intention to receive no. What that means that if you get a yes, it doesn't actually count. You have to ask again. So the idea is unless you've asked 3 times and you got 3 yeses, that's cool. You can relax. But as long as you still have, receive the yes and not a no, you're going to keep going until you've done it at least 3 times. Because the idea is not to get a yes, but actually to receive a no. And there is an instruction of what you do to receive the no. And the
Yeah.
instruction is really the goal because that's when you learn to regulate your nervous system in the moment through breath, through connection to your emotion, and stepping into your power in that moment. So that's the essence of the game. There's also 4 sessions during the month. There's every week we have consciousness reprogramming sessions where we really help people rewire their beliefs, their stories, and their energy around rejection. And the identity is the biggest foundation of it all. Who do we become at the end? Those powerful, bold entrepreneurs who, as they complete the challenge, are going to feel absolutely ready to go full in on their
Awesome.
business. That's the idea behind it.
I love it. And I mean, this is literally why I created this show. There's the whole reason behind it. So that's why I thought it'd be fun to just not even you didn't even know what the show was about. And
Aligned vibration.
it's the exact reason why I created this show is to help people take these small micro steps to grow and evolve um and do it in a subconsciously aligned way, right? A way that it because the subconscious loves what's safe, familiar, predictable, and certain, and rejection is anything but that, right? But I mean, like everything that you're talking about here uh, is what you have to go through when you get like when I closed my gym and went into the online world and started my high ticket sales process and becoming somebody who is doing that type of thing. Like you get very like you do it enough, I've taken thousands and thousands of calls at this point. Like you do it enough, it makes it like it's totally okay if people say no to me
Yeah,
at this point, right?
yeah.
Like I don't even bat an eye anymore. But I had to work through that because as a child, that was way different, right? So um, this is super cool. So folks, um, we're going to include in the show notes all the places where you can sign up for this, all the things that you can go, participate. Like this is a really unique episode because usually you're going into my community to take the micro habit and start to interact with it. But Anastasia here has a phenomenal thing where you can go with a cohort of people that are going through this together, which I absolutely love. And so I'm all for it. And I just think it's absolutely wonderful. And this is the type of things that we do to show up, take action, and get results, folks. So I'm super excited around that. If they were to let's just drop the voice bite of it though. Where do they go and sign up, and where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah. So the link for this is alignvibration.com/rejection-game. It is a game, it's a rejection
Perfect.
game. So you sign up there, and then we have our own Facebook community that you join. And that's where people are going to be posting either their shares or invitation to create bold content around it and actually position yourself as a thought leader in your niche because you're going to be the embodiment of going first, doing something
Perfect.
radical. And you can record yourself doing the challenge, or you can create your posts around the challenge and share your journey with your audience as well, which I think is a great way to increase your own visibility and bring your people into your audience. I mean, who doesn't love watching other people doing something bold?
Absolutely. I mean, that's like some of the best content on the internet
Yeah.
is watching people do wild things. So that's awesome. I absolutely love this. I'll include the link, folks, in the because that was pretty long. So I'll just include the link in the show notes so that you can jump into this, go through this experience. And I'm excited to hear what you listeners get out of this and really go through this. And interestingly enough, this is one of the last things I'll leave us on today is if you don't go and do this, I would love to know what was stopping you from doing it, right? I would love to know I would love for you at the very least sitting with this and really investigating, doing some investigation around why why not, right? Because that can teach you so much about why you're avoiding something like this. Because this is one of those things where the reason when you say it's a game, that actually helps the mind a lot for sure. But to put yourself out there to get rejected can feel like not a game for people. And so the idea of like not wanting to do this or go through this, what are your stories around this, folks? So I challenge you to start to investigate what are my stories around not wanting to put myself out there for this rejection game, right? And some of you will come up with false stories like, oh, I don't have the time or blah, 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 like all that stuff. But it's interesting where I want you to go a layer deeper to really investigate this to see what's really coming up for you. Um, at the very least, right? So very exciting. Thank you so much, Anastasia, for coming on today and having an awesome conversation. And yeah, I know we made a bunch of people super uncomfortable about
I love that.
about jumping in and doing this, but you know what? That's literally what our dharmas and jobs are on this planet. I already know that just from talking with you for a short period of time. That's what I do with clients every day. So, folks, jump in, see what happens, right? Worst case scenario, you get a bunch of no's. Best case scenario, your life transforms and you start to become the boldest, most confident version of yourself. And it's all about one decision, folks. So, like always, keep showing up, take an action, and you will get results. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.